Welcome to the Anti-Noise Experience, a podcast of endurance, noise, and random musings. It's Saturday around 11 o'clock here in Bakersfield, California. Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 97 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, expect a high of 110 degrees.
Yes, indeed. It's being toasty. We went out this morning at 5:30 in the morning, and it was already like 82, and with some humidity. Usually it's pretty dry here in Bakersfield, California. So I thought, what better not than to dust off this article in Podium Magazine and kind of throw in some my takes too, called Summer Training Tips for the Hottest Places in the United States. And we may not be the hottest place, but we're definitely up there. And if they are talking to elite runners from four of the hottest cities in the U.S., Phoenix, Houston, Jacksonville, and Las Vegas. Now, I can relate to Phoenix and Las Vegas. At least there it's dry heat, but Houston, Jacksonville, no thank you. In fact, one of my athletes who's doing the High Sierra Trail, which I'm going to be helping him on, Laura, she's sisters to Sarah. Sarah used to live in Bakersfield, and the dry heat was getting to her. Now she's in Northern California, but Laura's in Houston training for the High Sierra Trail. And, humidity, as we talked a lot on this podcast, is a killer. Way back, I thought Bakersfield was hot. I moved here when I was 13, 14 years old back in the late 70s. Only 70,000 people in there, Bakersfield. Now there's 400,000. And it was interesting, just yesterday, they were telling us that we might have rolling blackouts because of power needs. But anyway, but when I was in high school and college, I did a lot of triathlons and was training. And my dad worked for Motorola, and he traveled off. And he had to go to Phoenix for a week. And he's like, hey, do you want to come along? And I was like, sure, not really thinking. And I went to Phoenix. And I thought Bakersfield was hot. Oh, my gosh. Phoenix was like 110, 115. It does cool off, at least in the desert. But I quickly realized that I had to run early in the morning, which is one of the first things here that they talk about. Get up early. I went over to Arizona State like at 4:30 in the morning. I've never seen so many people out running and working out. But that was basically the only time you could do it. I did try and cycle during the heat, and I hear in Phoenix, the windows are breaking. I remember like the tar almost melting. So it was a really rough week. So one of the strategies that one of the athletes talks about is early to bed, early to rise schedule. And this is a really good one, which I kind of think I do intuitively. Routes based on the sun's position and the run's hydration needs. So yeah, you kind of want to run with the sun on your back as you're heading back in. And of course, hydration, sometimes you got to keep your loop short. I do a lot of short kind of loops. And then here's another one that I definitely do. Run in the shade as much as possible, and starts her out and back morning runs going east, so the rising sun is at her back for the second half. And I was scratching my nose. I've got a bunch of loops in my neighborhood. If you follow me on Strava, you can see I kind of do these Formula One race car loops, and I kind of plan them out so that in the evening, especially, I'm running in the shade as much as possible. Thankfully, the bike path I have nearby, even though there's not a tree on it, there is some trees growing in the river. There is some trees, pretty much, but there's always a good breeze. Bakersfield is thankfully in the evening. We usually get a good breeze. Another thing that I definitely do also, training buddies can help you take your mind off the fatigue and the thirst and the chafing. Got to keep it small. I've got my hiking running crew, Amanda, Liz, and Vicky, and Adam, and Randall, and we definitely meet. And of course, here, I highly recommend, especially if you're an ultra runner, look up for your local meetup group and join a hiking club. Every ultra runner needs to learn how to walk better. Yesterday we were talking about Badwater with Jester, and he said how the last 13 miles uphill to the portal wasn't too bad for him because he walks a lot and he's just gotten really good at it. So definitely join a hiking club, and we go out, we hike. My hiking club, we have Monday through Thursday hikes, 6 p.m. in the evening, year round. So we're in the dark in the winter, and we're in the blazing hot sun in the summer. In fact, it's interesting that we always warn people about snakes. We got quite a few rattlesnakes out there, along with coyotes, raccoons, and whatnot. And we always talk about the snakes. And I say, well, you're only going to see the snakes like in May, early June at 6 o'clock. And then you'll start seeing them again like late August, September. And people say, why? And I go, well, because snakes are smart. They're not out here in 105-degree weather. They're holed up in a hole. So training buddies are good. Know your hydration needs. This article was talking to somebody, and as you know, I've done podcasts and talked about hydration, and it's very individualized. You got to figure out what works for you, but definitely have a plan so that you can hit water here and there. Myself and the Chester, we don't usually drink very much or at all in training. That way we can just handle a little better in races. And also, here's another thing that says amount of fluids isn't only variable that matters, timing does too. And that's definitely true. And then emphasize staying hydrated throughout the day. An icy beverage can cool your core temperature, is what they say if you do one pre-race. Interesting, if you, Dina Castor, I just did a podcast on her coach, Virgil, and one of the things they used a lot was they wore ice vests when they were racing, her and Meb Keflezighi, when they won their their medals. They didn't win gold medals, but when they medaled, they actually wore ice vests before the start of the race. And you'll see Tour de France cyclists, whatnot, do that too. Here's a tip that I kind of do. I didn't even think about it, but eat plenty of water-rich fruits and vegetables during the summer. And then, of course, you're going to be sweating a lot, and, you got to hydrate, but you also need to realize you need to take in extra carbohydrates. And, and it's because, during prolonged exercise, glycogen in your muscles and liver gets broken down as energy needs for muscle contraction. Hot and humid weather can expedite this process and deplete carbohydrates as an energy source. This is due to the increased core temperature and shift in hormonal balance, causing us to spend our carbohydrate supply. So definitely keep an eye on that. And that's definitely true. You're it's just a furnace. And obviously in the summertime, you're really furnace. Here in California, you've got a heat wave. We're looking at like 110 degree weather for the whole week. So I head out 5:30, get my miles in, doing some pool work, which I've been doing a lot lately. And then in the evening, I'll go out in the evening once the sun's like 7, it's not too bad. And of course, I got the good old treadmill here in my office. So I've been on that a lot with Swift, really like that a lot. So another thing, of course, this is always important, is sleep. But you need to sleep even more because the heat just drains you. It takes a lot out of you and you'll feel run down. I myself don't sleep very much at night, only 3 or 4 hours, but I do take the naps, which I'm going to be taking off here as soon as I'm waiting around for my Instacart delivery to come. Yes, you can power through the day, but your body knows when to turn it down. Rest days keep you physically and mentally strong. And I don't say really complete rest days, but I know in the summer, I definitely mix it up more. In the cooler months, I just do a ton of walking and running miles, but in the summer, I'll do a little more cross training, some swimming. I got a bicycle now, and just kind of mix it up a little bit. This is a big thing, and I see this at races all the time. While quick to adjust pace for altitude and hills and headwinds, runners tend to less lenient when it comes to extreme temperatures and humidity levels. And I'll be at a race, and people have in their mind they're gonna, get this number or get this time, and I'll be like, it's super hot, and they just kind of ignore it. And again, like I've been talking mad props to Joshua for breaking that 16-year-old 5K record. It was 79 degrees there and pretty humid, where every time someone's broke that record, it's been in the 60s. So definitely a great performance by him. And then, of course, this is always, you should train like this. Some of these are things you should do all the time. But definitely in the summer and hot climates, go by effort and loosen expectations. Don't be staring at that pace and the GPS. I mean, in the winter, I can go minutes a mile faster than I can go in the summer, but based off of effort. And often I use the heart rate monitor too. So yeah, keep on training. I know so many people this summer have been definitely training because everybody's been doing the great race across Tennessee, 1,000K race. I'm finishing up the 2,000K in a few days here, and it's definitely got people training, and which is awesome. And I look forward to doing the race around the world. So as always, stay healthy, be boring, not epic.